Christ. Father, tonight I pray that you will bless these community leaders, that you will give them wisdom, make good decisions. I pray that you will bless their time here together. I pray that you will bless the people that are here, talk. Just ask that you guide their hearts. And Father, as they make decisions, help it to be the best things for this community. And I just pray that this community will support them and make their work pleasant and joyful. Father, I just ask for your guidance for their lives, your guidance for the wisdom in leading Kingman. And we pray that you will forgive us of our sins and guide us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First up is the approval of the agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion or additions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Next up is the consent agenda. Any comments?
I'd make a motion to approve it and say you'll do. I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
I'll recuse myself because I was in the meeting last time.
All right. Motion passes 4-0-1. All right, we have a couple of award presentations tonight. I will start with Commissioner Wolin.
Excellent. Thank you for this opportunity. Interim City Manager Daredorf, will you join me here? I don't think you've even seen the awarding of a kudos award.
Wow.
And traditionally, it's been with some longevity in mind, some impact on the community. In your short time, you have made an impact on your community. You've brought stability to the city manager position on an interim basis. This is really just for us to express our appreciation to you. And so in memory of us.
All right, thank you. What? I gotta do this one. You know, I do appreciate that. I really do. Thank you very much.
All right, Commissioner McFarland.
Now you can see what I'm worried.
Yeah, I like it, yeah. Well done. Mr. Graham, if you'll come over here or something. Greg Grafton's been here for how many years? 23 years. And when he first hit town, he was involved in everything imaginable. He's on the president of chamber, and he's on chamber for several years, very active in that. He's been active in all kinds of community things as well as city business. And I really appreciate everything he's done. I really appreciate what he did while he was city manager, and I'm glad he's back as our city attorney again. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I like seeing it.
Yeah, go ahead. We're still in the awards part. Go right ahead.
Mr. Graff and I also wanted to express my appreciation of what you brought to the city. Really starting with, well, I've been a member of Rotary for those 23 years, so I know what you brought to Rotary and I appreciate that. I appreciate your leading the celebration of our 125th with Kingman. And so you've given a lot and cared about this community, and I just wanted to express my thanks for that.
Thank you. We had to flip a coin so you can give it to me.
You put in 28 years and I got one for 4 months. So.
Yeah.
We appreciate this morning.
Yes, definitely.
See high rate, that's.
Do we have any public comment?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll say the roads and Jared.
Sure.
He's on the agenda. Nope, all right, on to number 7, ordinance 2157, Arc Valley franchise fee.
Mr. Kern, you wanna?
Art Valleys is every 5 years. They called us earlier this week and said they wanted one now. So this is a duplicate of what we've had in the past. We've had the same ordinance with just dates changed for quite a while now. Art Valley's territory within the city limits is very small. So it's a very minimal proceeds that we get. So they would like to get this passed into them so that they can continue paying the franchise.
I would like clarification.
Mhm.
So this 31, Greg, is this all that's Art Valley within the city? Is this the only spot?
No, Tim, are you here?
Just
Yeah,
walk in.
Art Valley Northwest, they'll have some.
North up on Main Street and then, yeah, up to the curve.
Yeah.
And so are all these people serviced by Art Valley then?
Yes.
Jerry Harrell,
Well, that's just the city limits.
right, well, and so our agreement reference is 31, that's my question. So are there others living in?
It's all the way up, no, what am I trying to say? Out by the airport, well, it's this right here,
So
it'd be in 29.
part of 29,
Yes,
okay, part of the northwest quarter. All right.
yes, sir.
And then all of 30, is it? And so do they have a choice where they get electricity from, or how's that work?
No.
It's always just been.
It's Art Valley service for those homes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
If they changed the state law some time ago, the city was ever annexed that way, that there would probably have to be some negotiations with the franchise holder. If we did that, but as it stands now, that's who has that small amount of territory.
So are you saying that it says 31, but we also have 29 and 30? Is that what you were saying?
They gave us the legal, so I can ask them if that's what they gave us as the legal.
Well, and maybe within city limits, it is limited to that. That was my question. It might be, and everywhere else, city limit wise in service, and they have outside of it.
Well, true, and we also do some outside the city limits, so
We
the
do.
suspicion is that it's in here where that's within the city.
Okay. I'm okay with it. They drew it up and it sounds legitimate in the area, the ballpark, so yes, I'm fine.
Any other comments or discussion?
Well, all right, and for clarification, for placing and maintaining electrical distribution and transmission lines.
And
And
have some,
the underground conduits, poles, towers, ground level transformers, wires, other appurtenances. Would they be besides that in the city limits?
that's the area they say is the section 31.
Okay.
If they go beyond that, then they'd have to come to us otherwise.
Okay.
But the 31 is all that they're assessing the franchise fee to.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I move for approval of ordinance 2157 with Oak Valley Electric Cooperative.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2157. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, on to new business, 2026-2027 health insurance.
This is not about basketball coaches?
No, it's not.
Okay.
My son's leaving, so I'm okay.
You're-
Yeah, I'm okay. No, that's good. I'm glad that the Crees are happy to be coming back. So that's wonderful. Those who don't know me, Mike Minton, I'm with Gallagher. I think I've met the rest of you before, but a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to say to Greg too, over all these years and working on the health and dental plans and working together, appreciated everything and you've done a fine job of continuing on with the program and had to reteach every year a couple of things, but no, it's been wonderful. Glad to see you're still part of this as well. And John didn't know this, but there was a pool going on, how long it'd take for you guys could he actually make it through this time before you guys kicked him out? And so I was surprised that plaque didn't say about time. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I'm going Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's wonderful. Looking forward to meeting the new city manager as well in the future. Couple of things on the health insurance, just to kind of give you an idea, and I know probably most of you are somewhat involved in health insurance, but 2026 has been proven to be one of the most difficult years in my 20-some years of being in this business. I'll tell you right now, I've not seen many renewals that are less than 15 to 30% this year, whether it's Blue Cross, whether it's United Healthcare. Unfortunately, and I've said this in past years, that there was a vision 20-some years ago of moving this plan to a self-funded health plan. There's obviously been some ups and downs throughout that time. There's been some bad claims years. Fortunately, there's been a lot of pretty good claims years. When you are self-funded, a lot of it's not profits that you're paying to the carriers. You're really, everything's based off of your claims. And even in the last, 5 or 6 years, we've had a couple of bad claims years, but the vision of this, of the entire process has led us to a point where there's nice reserves in place and we can weather those storms when they do happen. Always tell people you're gonna have this 5-year cycle. You have 1 year so good, you can't believe it, 1 year so bad, and 3 pretty average years. And we've had those the last couple of years. We've had pretty average years. They haven't been fantastic by any means. I think we've grown our reserves just a little bit in the last couple of years. But it's in a good place. It's in a very good place. And I've been fortunate to be a part of this for the last, I think, 22 years. I wasn't in the visionaries that helped start it, but I've been fortunate to be a part of it since then. So, but with that, self-funding it is complicated. There are a lot of pieces to it. For today, didn't want to give you a whole bunch, but I think in your packets, you guys have all this in your, just wanted to make it pretty simple today because, like I said, it's been a fairly good year. We take it out to a significant piece of what you all have in a self-funded plan is that you have a stop-loss carrier. And that stop-loss carrier is going to cover claims for you all, which is $35,000. The city is covering the first $35,000 on everybody. And then you have protection past that. One of the things about as small as you are, is that it is very difficult right now. If your group was fully insured, which is where the carrier, you're sending in just premiums to the carrier, they're paying claims, they're taking the risk. When you're small as you are, if you tried to start this now, it'd be virtually impossible to do. And it's harder and harder each year to find stop loss carriers for groups that are under 50 employees. We have a few. This year, we did not have anybody that was competitive with your renewal. And like I said, even in, earlier when I said that it's it's a tough market right now. It's tough on the stop loss side of things. So, you see there's a bunch of different, columns on here. And so if we start in the very, first column, it says 2025 at 100%. That means that is your stop loss policy. They determine what your premiums are gonna be. They, that stop loss protection, and they also determine your claims bucket, the money that you need to set aside, what they think you need to set aside for the next year. And typically that's at maximum is 125% of what they think you're going to spend. Okay, so we have actually the last few years have been funding underneath that because of the reserves that you've built. And we take a look at it, see where claims are, kind of predicting what the claims are going to be. And so we're going to talk about a few pieces, but that first one was a current year at 100%. The second column is actually where we actually set the funding last year was at 85%. And so that's just on the claims piece. So let's just real quick walk down through those first two columns. If you look at the first section, it says individual specific stop loss coverage. You can see how whether or not you're at 100% or you're at 85%, we're funding that entire amount because that is a fixed cost. We don't reduce that. Then you have aggregate coverage. That's the coverage over the entire group. If you all of a sudden had a year where you had 30 people go out and spend $35,000, I think the most we've ever had here is maybe 3 or 4 over the years. But if you had that catastrophic year, we'd all be in trouble if something's going on, right? But you do have that ceiling from an aggregate standpoint into the group. Then you have what's called funding factors in the next section. Those are where you set aside dollars to pay up to, in that first column would be 125% of expected claims. So you can see that number, it says annual attachment point, 521,000. And then, but we only funded to 85% or 442,000 in that column. And then you can see the administration costs that are down below until you get to kind of a maximum of 814 at the very bottom. 736 is what we actually funded to. And to get to that maximum again, basically you're earmarking some of the reserves if you need it. Well, this year so far, we still have a couple months left, and a little bit of run out, but it doesn't appear like you're going to get to dip into those unless the last couple of months just go south on us. The third column is your actual renewal. And this is where we are seeing a little bit of increase. If you look in that first section, you can see it's a renewal 100% funding is that specific premium 200 and going from 255 to 275,000. So it's going up about 20,000. On the next section is the aggregate stop loss. That's actually coming down about $500. Not much there, but it's not going up. And then where the big jump was, the big decrease is on the next section on what's called that annual attachment point. It's going from 521 down to 493 because that number goes up and down based off of your historical claims. And sometimes if we have a year where we spend 100%, that number is going to go up, but that doesn't mean it's going to stay there. It'll come back down because we've had a couple of decent years. The admin fee of your administrator is going up just a little bit, about a quarter. But you can see then that there's a PPO access fee that's coming down just a little bit. So in all actuality, your administrative costs are staying pretty flat, very, very flat for this next year. For the Freedom Claims, who is the one who runs your plans for the city. So when we look down at the very bottom on the renewal funding, you can see that we're actually going, if you look at the first column versus the third column, overall, our maximum liability is going down about 1%, but our fixed cost is going up about 6% on that. Okay, Any questions on that? Okay, then we've, over the last few years, this was something that Greg started doing and looking at, okay, well, we can either fund it 100%, 90%, 85%, or maybe even 75%. Really, it's up to you. With the reserves that you have right now, I'm comfortable with any of them, to tell you the truth. I mean, we've got about 1.5 to 2 years of claims in reserves, which I know there's always questions, why do we do that? And I want to spend a second on that. So every year, the stop loss carrier is going to look at every single person that's on the plane. And they're going to say, do we accept the risk at $35,000 on that individual? And sometimes they'll say, no, we don't. And we had one of these several years ago. We had an ongoing cancer situation, and it looked like that person was going to spend about $150,000 the next year. And so so that meant that they could have done one of two things. They could either put that entire, what they risk, into the premiums, or they could say, the city, we won't accept them at 35,000, but if they're gonna spend, you'll have to pay up to 150 on them if it happens. Well, I would much rather it be the if it happens than build it into the premiums, because you never know, will they leave employment? You know, God forbid something, they pass away. I mean, you never know what would happen instead of building it. So we always put on there, and typically in the past, we've used those reserves to say, hey, we've got them there. We're gonna earmark the reserves to cover that. And it's called a laser, is what it's actually called. We're going to, that increase on that person. This year, we don't have any of those ongoing. So, I mean, really, to stay in line, I'm comfortable if you guys wanted to go with the 85% funding section. That's what we've done the last couple of years. It's been fairly right on line with that. It hasn't gotten into the reserves. Like I said, it's built just a little bit. Built up a little bit, but that would be the call. Now, there are a couple of things, though, what we also would recommend this year. We talked with John and Zach about this, but if you look at the very bottom, it says recommended plan design changes. Number 2, I'm going to start with number 2 down there. You have what's called a qualified high deductible health plan that you offer to your employees. And that plan has to change each year depending on what the federal government says is qualified. And this year, that has to go up in deductible from $3,300 to $3,400. Every year, over the last several years, it's gone up about $100. It was 4 years ago, it was right around $3,000. Now we're up to about $3,400. So that would then increase that out-of-pocket maximum from $4,300 to $4,400 for those individuals that take that plan. So that means that they would cover the first $3,400 of anything, and then they'd have another about $1,000 in co-insurance, which which could get them to that $4,400.
How many we have on our group roughly? Not.
It's not very
Oh,
much.
it's less than one. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe 6.
Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's harder than so far, yeah. And you guys pay 100% of the premiums for either plan. And then you also have put in that stipend that if somebody wanted to go that direction because they're taking on more risks, there's actually a monthly stipend or a paycheck, or I can't remember, it's monthly, right? It's a monthly stipend that you actually give them to be a part of that higher deductible plan. But in line with that, one thing that we haven't done a whole lot over the last couple of years is change the regular plan. We call it the PPO plan, the lower deductible plan that has co-pays and stuff like that on it. And so on number 1, our recommendation is to try to keep more in line with some of the increases that are happening on the high deductible health plan. Also looking at benchmarking right now, the city has a Cadillac plan. If you would try to go to the market, you can't find this plan out there anymore. The maximum out of pocket for an individual in this current year is $2,000 or times 2 for a family. So, and again, you don't have to make these changes, but there's gonna be a time when you're gonna have back-to-back, possibly bad years. And instead of all of a sudden at that time saying, oh, we gotta go to a $2,000 deductible, it might be the right time to, since we've moved the high deductible plan up a few $100s over the last couple of years, it might be the time to move that up a little bit as well to $1,250. That'd be a $250 potential increase on those that actually would hit that amount. So that would be one other recommendation. And then the other recommendation is number 3. On your dental plan, right now, you have 2 dental plans. You have $1,000, you have a plan that'll cover up to $1,000. Well, we all know what's happened over the last several years. $1,000 just does not cut much at the dentist anymore. And so we ran some numbers, looked at some things. I think, I didn't bring that number, but I think last year, in the full year, last year, is it 8? You remember what I said?
It seems like it.
8 or, yeah, I think it was 8 people hit that $1,000 amount, mark, and this year there were 3 or 4 that had hit it so far this year. So one of the recommendations would be to actually improve that benefit from $1,000 to a $1,500 on the main plan that most people are on. And then on the plan B, which I think we only have 1 person enrolled in right now that has the orthodontia cover, maybe 2.
Yeah.
It changed that from 1,500 to 2,000 because they're paying a little bit more for that plan if they decide to take that. But those would be 3 of the recommendations that we'd have along with the renewal at whatever level you want to do.
Yeah, one of the ways that I see that is we're gonna increase the deductible on the health insurance. So this is kind of helping make up for that just a little bit. It gives them a little more coverage, at least on the dental side.
You bet. And if you have a year where you have 1 crown, that's $900 to $1,200 usually just for one. You know, and that would shoot, and that includes like their preventive services in there as well. So all of a sudden you can have somebody at 1,500 pretty quickly, even still to this day. But again, I think we've got the reserves. I think to make those moves, and I think it'll, increasing the dental, but for them, it's gonna be a little bit out of pocket. If you increase the deductible, that's a little bit out of their pocket as well. And, I think it'll be a little bit of a wash for this next year. So.
I appreciate the definitive recommendation, and I would, to get it to discussion, move that we approve the 85% recommended funding level and 3 changes that were noted on the recommended plan design changes regarding deductibles, HDHP, NHSA compliance, and the dental annual maximum.
I do have a question on that. Does that change the maximum cost over under percentage if we make those 3 changes? Are those factored in there?
They are.
They are factored in.
Yeah, I'm gonna, let me take that back. The HDHP is, and with the changes, when we looked at it from going to going up to $250 in the dental, the $250 in the medical versus the going up the $500 allowable in the dental, that washed out. So it is, those numbers are fine.
So then we're coming in 1% under budget. Am I reading that correctly?
That is correct. But you would be funding in 2026, 27. The next year is 1% less than what you did in the current year. Which, I'm gonna tell you right now, I wish I had more groups I could say that with right at the moment.
You had talked about, there's only one basically that would to have our stop loss coverage, right?
Well, one that said that they were gonna be competitive this year. In the past few years, we've had a couple, so like if one of them hit up, like if they would have come back at they'd have come back at a 20, 25, 30% increase, we would have had other carriers that were there, but nobody was as low as.
Okay, that was gonna be my question is there any risk at any point that we wouldn't have that stop loss coverage?
There's not risk that you would not have that stop. Now, there's risk that somebody,
It might go up.
they go up 30% and there's nobody else that wants to play.
That makes sense.
That risk is there, yeah. The only other thing is if you would ever drop below 25 employees, then we probably would start having an issue.
how many do we have right now? 38, is that what it says?
Yep.
Well, 38 participants.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, we've never been below 30 on this plan.
okay.
The only thing that would happen if that did, they may require you to pay for one person's stop loss premium, like if you had 24, they may require you to pay for an extra one each month to get up to the 25 minimum type thing. But
You have three recommendations here. You have the 90%, 85% and 75%, which is 75% will go 7% below budgeted costs. What do we give up in that if we were to choose?
you're just putting more of your reserves at risk that you have right now. And we've ran pretty true to that 85% the last couple of years and haven't got into the reserves.
And we've been adding to the reserves.
A little bit, yeah, I don't know the exact number, but you guys keep that here, but
But we've certainly had years where we lose.
that we lose on that, yeah, that we've had. I mean, there was one time, about a year where we dipped in. And it was about $100,000 into the reserves. And because of the laser situation that I talked about. Next year, we do not have that scenario, but in future years we could. That's why it's very important to have the reserves there. But it's definitely, I will tell you, I stand in front of different counties to cities. And if there's based off the reserves you had going to the, like I said at the very beginning, I'm not uncomfortable going to the 75 for your plan right now. I would use all of it and use a little bit of reserves if we have the same type of year we've had the last couple of years. But you wouldn't have a huge impact into your reserves if you did that.
Is there an 80%?
Oh, yeah, you can just look at what that would, 419 and 369, the difference there is about $50,000. So you'd have it'd be 25,000 in between, so it'd be about a 4%. It'd be 25, I mean, that's pretty.
I'm just saying, if you're comfortable with the 75%, but we've been averaging around 85, give and take, but we've still been adding to reserves, we could potentially save 4% on our budget by doing an 80% option that's not listed here, but it's still an option.
Absolutely, absolutely. That'd save you about $25,000 of your budget that would go into the healthcare reserves. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just, it would go into the reserves rather than here and then reserves later if we don't use it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it would stay with your plan. Yeah, yeah. And we're just saying, okay, that $1 million that's sitting in reserves, we just are earmarking another 25 of that. Is what we're doing in case you needed it this next year. Yeah.
We do have a motion for the 85% funding with the 3 recommended plan design changes. Do we have a second?
One second.
Any other discussion?
If those 3 recommendations are included in that.
They are.
All 85.
They were.
Any other discussion?
I mean, there's motion already out there, so we'll see how that flows, but I would like to see the 80% just to help save some money in their budget and then balance it out, like you said. If you're comfortable going down to 75, I think 80% is a good compromise between the two. We're not giving up that much more, and we should be right even with what we've been.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
But of course, we none of us have a crystal ball, right?
Right.
We have no idea what'll happen in the next year, but I mean, it would be if you had the same year, it'd be pretty much a wash, and you wouldn't add to or take away from your reserves.
How much money do we have in our reserves?
Little over, about little over $1 million, 26, of course, this was end of March, so. But that savings you're talking about is cash in the health insurance fund. I mean, the
Right,
the
you
tax
would
balance.
not, yeah.
So it's not like it's gonna affect the general fund or anything like that. Or our costs, because our premiums are,
Well, I mean, maybe I'm not understanding. You wouldn't take, that would be, if you went to 80%, that'd be $25,000 throughout the next year that you would not take from your general fund and put it into your health fund.
oh, okay, I misunderstood that, yeah.
The city essentially pays its claims. So budget that out through the funds, so if you went down that, you just wouldn't take that amount out of the funds to go to.
Right.
It would, it doesn't, but.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor of the renewal at 85% funding with the recommended plan design changes, say aye. All those opposed, same sign? Aye. I missed yours, Commissioner.
Yeah, I'm not too sure which way I'll. I guess I think. The 80, but I also like the idea of keeping it at the level that John's voted, so. I'm okay.
For the 85? All right, motion passes 3-2. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for all the explanations too, that was very helpful.
You bet, anytime. And if there's ever, and I've thrown this out before, and obviously with the new city manager coming in, if anybody, it's gonna be a walkthrough process once they get acclimated, and if anybody wants a little bit more about how it works, be glad to share it. So, okay, thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Mike.
Chief Lux, I think we're gonna need.
Alright.
Oh, you're. Got it, all right. All right, on to OSD Engineering, County and Armory Preliminary Plan. I'm sure, Tim, if you wanna come up and not sure how this whole conversation's gonna go.
Garrett's gonna be calling in. Yeah, with OSD. And I'll just give you, he's gonna go over what they have looked at and what they think they would. He went over with me a little bit, we went over a little bit, and showed us, and I sent you some paperwork. They talked about the heating and air. And with that. Roof that it had.
I have a pins subscription.
Uh,
I have a copy of the pins.
Do you?
Yeah, go to your garage.
You guys might have too.
We have them,
They got them, that Carol.
John, back to just that layout
Yeah.
of the armor, yeah, we have, they don't.
Okay. So with that, he's gonna go over the proposal of what. So they could start doing something for us. Now, I will say this, and he'll talk about it more in a little bit, but, when I visit with him, I don't want. Crisscross, but, the heating and air. He said we could get by with 25 ton, they will make it capable of 50 ton. But he said when the county is in there, the 25 ton would be more than enough to cool and heat. What we're gonna be doing. But they would make it capable of adding another unit. Later, if you thought the event. If you were renting it out and it got too hot. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he said there's no need to overbuild. And then you have that equipment, and you don't need it. So I don't know.
So Commissioner, you're tonight, or with this company, you guys are looking at entering into an agreement with them to do. The cost analysis of this process, yeah.
Right.
And it looks like he's unmuted, so you should be able to talk.
Can you guys hear me? You ready for?
Garrett, can you hear us? Garrett?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Turn it on.
Can you guys?
There you
Can you hear us, Garrett?
Yeah.
Yep.
We can.
How about now?
I'm unmuted. I don't know if you
There
can.
you go.
Yeah, we can hear
We
you.
can hear you.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Garrett Gorman. I'm with Erasm and Scalora Engineering in Manhattan. We're a mechanical, electrical, plumbing consulting engineer. We've been engaged with the county looking at the courthouse building. They want to improve heating, ventilating, and air conditioning at the courthouse, among some other things. To do that type of project, they would need a place to go for a period of time while construction happened at the courthouse. And so the Armory building, which I understand the city owns, was suggested. We've been on site. We've walked the Armory building before. We also have drawings of the Armory building from some of our other resources. We're an on-call engineer for the Guard. And so they send us some drawings of the Armory. And so what's being proposed is that we would do HVAC improvements to the Armory gym portion to accommodate the county putting people down in the gym space during the construction period at the courthouse. To achieve that, what's being proposed is that we would use a packaged rooftop unit, but it would set at grade on the west side of the building. We'd bring a supply and return duct into the building. There's some storage space on that west side. It would enter there and then get up high and then go into the gym space with a supply duct running on the more towards the south wall of the building. I heard what Jack was describing. He's right. What we're proposing is that this design would accommodate the county, but it would be laid out so that if you wanted to add additional air conditioning to the gym, you could. The county's only got about 35 people or so that they want to put down in the gym. But if you're having a dance there, you're probably looking at maybe like 300 people. Preliminarily, yes, it's around a 25-ton rooftop unit, and it would set at grade more towards the south end of the west side with those ducts running in. We would do no work for the second unit. We would simply lay it out with that second unit in mind if you wanted to add it later. But Jack and I had a conversation previously that, in my opinion, just my opinion, there's many days out of the year when that 25-ton rooftop unit is probably going to meet your needs depending on the event. When you're looking at loads, you're looking at the peak for a particular space. And so you're looking when it's hottest, 5 p.m., July, it's in the hundreds, and you've got 300 people in there. That's kind of a peak load. And that's a 40 to 45-ton load for that Armory gym space. The county's only needs 20 to 25 tons of cooling. It kind of just works out that it's somewhere in the middle of that load number. But it's very typical. We do a lot of gymnasiums for high schools. And it's very typical that we'll serve a gym with 2 units of the same nominal size like that. In this case, it just kind of worked out. We had a feeling that it would kind of work out like that, but it just kind of worked out. The math kind of worked out like that. And then another part of our proposal is that we'll take a look at the existing lighting and maybe it needs to be improved. That could mean simply relamping. The fixtures are there, but we're probably going to take a strong look at replacing the light fixtures that are in the gym to accommodate the county's needs as basically office space. So what we've done so far is we provided a proposal for our design services to do this design for improved HVAC in the gym space. We would advertise it for bid or help you with that process. Receive the bids, have a bid opening. If everything moved forward, we would help you with getting construction contracts in place with the bidder that awarded the project. And then we would also perform construction administration, meaning we would do submittal reviews on the things that the contractor plans to put in place and make some trips to the courthouse, review or to the Armory, review pay applications, that kind of thing until it was done. At that point, the county could then move into that space and we could perform the construction project at the courthouse. What kind of questions can I answer for you guys?
So if I heard you right, you're basically saying you would do the work for a 50-ton, but only put in the 25. So if we wanted to put in another 25 unit, no?
Now, we're not doing any work associated with a second rooftop unit. All we're going to do, we're going to lay out this unit that meets the county's needs with the idea that there would be a second unit that looks much like it that could be installed later at your choice. But
How much or what differences would need to be if we did put in another 25-ton unit? Like for the returns and stuff like that.
So what the scope of work looks like, the actual work that'll occur is that on the west side there, we'll put a concrete equipment pad down, which just means it's a reinforced concrete pad for that packaged rooftop unit to sit on. You know, this is a piece of equipment that's usually on a roof, but many times we'll put them at grade. It'll sit on a roof curb, so it's up out of the snow and water. And then there'll be a supply and return duct that enter the building. So we'll cut, not we, but the contractor will cut large holes in the outside of the building on the west side to pass a supply and return duct inside the building. The return duct will only go over to the west wall of the gym. The supply duct will actually become like probably a double wall round duct, and it'll pass through the west wall of the gym and it'll run all the way to the east side. And basically hanging that duct in the gym, and then the work associated with the lights is the scope of work. In terms of future, we would simply, sketch out the location where a second unit would be here. So what I'm saying about that is that we've run the loads. We know that basically our load is half of your total load, and we're assuming something like 300 people. Been to a lot of weddings, about that number. And we would just lay out our unit so that a second unit could be accommodated. That's all. So we do no work with the second unit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
One of the questions that I have in terms of utilities is what needs to happen with the current electrical infrastructure of the building to accommodate not only the increased AC, but the electrical demand that's going to be needed by the county. And, because currently there's no outlets or anything in the floors. So how's that going to happen?
Yeah. So on the air conditioning side, there is a distribution panel in the armory that may accommodate our unit. If we have to improve or make changes, modify the existing electrical service, that'll be part of the project, right, to accommodate this rooftop unit. And then we'll just run a new electrical feeder over to this rooftop unit on the west side from this main distribution panel that's kind of on the north side of the building, more towards the west side, but pretty central. Natural gas service is there, so we just got to run a natural gas line over to this rooftop unit. And then in terms of like the office folks inside the gym space, we're thinking we would do some surface mounting of receptacles and data boxes on that north wall of the gym, and then we could route cabling and power over to desks out in the gym space from that north wall. There's other things that have been discussed, like potentially doing drops, temporary drops, but that can evolve as the design of the project moves forward.
I'll say this, when Don Marsh come down and went through it and talked about the one that when Barton County moved out of their courthouse and moved into the J.C. Penney building for their remodel, which is similar to what we're doing. These guys were involved in that. And I assumed that they put cubicles up and divided it up, and really they didn't. The clerks went to that corner, treasurer over here, register of deeds. Now, we could tee that thing and put a cubicles down the center of the gym floor and maybe tee it this way. And you'd have a little bit of isolation, but for us, we're trying to keep it open, so if, you know, we're narrow, everybody can get to an exit and get out. And really, he talked like, and I never heard, when I went and visited, I never heard anybody complain about, you know, they were too loud or this happened over here, you know, so. You know, the response I got from being up there and visiting, it was a year and they went through it and they made it, you know, and they got back into a nice new courthouse with a lot safer and a lot, you know, we're gonna have thermostats in every room. Right now, I've said this and said this, that in the wintertime, they crank that steam up till it gets to the third floor, it's still pumping steam. You go sit in our room and we're running an air conditioner blowing on us, sweat pouring down off us because they're still freezing up there. This will put a thermostat in every room and give you heat and air adjustable. So maybe we get to unplug 25 heaters that are sitting on the floor in a strip cord, you know. We had one of them that actually melted the other day, so it's time for us to move, you know, kind of. And this looks like could be a win-win for all of us. I mean, maybe we're not quite putting in what we need to for air, but when you're leasing it out, maybe they ought to have that wedding in early May or wait till September, you know, so you're not, we got married in August and no air conditioning, and it was hot. But I didn't hear anybody complaining when drinking beer and everything.
What timeline are you looking on this?
You know, we're just trying to get something
Mhm.
moving. It won't interfere, our timeline will not interfere with the wedding that's already scheduled in May of next year. Now, we could get central heat or central air, we could have, I don't know, we'd have to ask Garrett and they're gonna design it, but my projection is we might go squeeze that thing in there and they'd have it for that wedding, but we won't be there yet because they'll still be drawing and I don't know how this grant looking and these tax credits all fall in there. Do we have to have them before we start these projects or, you know, and I talked to the grant writer. It's capable of tax credits for both deals because they're both historic. Now, and the other thing too, that I've been talking to, it sounds like for the city owns that building, you might have to apply for it, but we would cover expenses of match money or anything that comes short. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And I'm saying that, not knowing for sure if that's true or not, but whatever this comes to, the county's willing to, we're looking at it as like rent. We'd have to go somewhere, and why not invest in something that will benefit the city and benefits the county, either bring people to town. That's economic development, so.
So his specialty is more heating and air, electrical, so insulation wise, what are you thinking?
Well, we talked about that insulation and we kind of backed up and Garrett, you might talk on that a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I can. So we know that the roof that's there is not original. It's a standing seam metal roof, so that there's obviously been a roof replacement. I don't know if that occurred when the guard had control of the building or when the city had control of the building. There was an improvement project that happened at the Armory building about, I don't know if it's exactly 20 years ago or so. And I've been in contact with that architect. He's in Wichita, but he said that roof was already in place there. I would think that there's an insulation board. That would be my guess, that was put down underneath that standing seam metal roof when it was done. But I have nothing to verify that with, you know, for you guys. I don't know if a panel could be removed so that you could just, you know, do a little deconstructive investigation and see what's there potentially. It might be good for all parties just to know what's there. But so far, I haven't had any luck getting my hands on the drawings of that roof replacement. I've gone to the guard and asked them if they had any, and I haven't got a response yet. So I really don't have any solid information on that roof. But I would think if you put new standing seam metal system down, seems like you would insulate at that time.
You think what?
I'm pretty sure the guard did that on the city.
No idea how long ago.
It's been a while. Been a while.
Yeah, it hasn't looking at my community years.
Yeah.
You know,
40 years, 35, 40 years ago, maybe.
Cunningham, when they added on, they put air and energy in them. It's similar to what they're talking about. It's tubes that go down each side and blow out. Or on the crowd. They didn't. No more insulation or nothing else. They just wanted some air in there so people wouldn't pass out.
Yeah.
And I sat in there and they might be hot on the basketball court, but I'm freezing sitting in them stands, so I don't know. There
was a ceiling in there though, that they took out.
I remember that. It was like a square tile.
Where tile shelter, they just took it bad and just took it down.
Yeah.
You know, I visited with some people, they said if we did much with that, we'd have to put fasteners in. So when you decorate for these weddings, you could hang your stringers now. They said the way it is now, it's very easy to just get the stringers up there, fasten the board and droop down with the lights. I don't know if that means anything to use, but it meant something to a couple of them that used it as weddings and hired somebody to come in and decorate for the wedding, which I always thought that was the parents or the grandparents' job. I guess now we get a wedding designer, a wedding planner. There you go. There was a movie on that. So
I never even thought about that having an insulation board. It actually wasn't insulated. I don't know.
yeah.
You wouldn't know.
Yeah, well, and that was one thing that here Tom brought up. And I said if it's there, I didn't think it would defeat, and it wouldn't make us that much more to do that. And really, you know, you're not gonna heat and cool that thing. No, you know, you're gonna use it on the gym part. You've already got your heating and air in your office and stuff like that, so.
They maybe use some Parsons does patchwork or something with it. He might go. Get some slate.
I think Maddie did the patchwork.
Or they weren't. No, the other did. One of them roof, either one of them might go.
So Jack, you're just looking for general consensus that
To
move
proceed
something
with forward, yeah.
if there aren't any red flags that we're seeing in the process.
Well, we see the design, and then when it's finalized, you bring that forward or.
His estimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, the process will be if you guys want to move forward, obviously we've given you a proposal, and when you sign that, meaning let's go forward. That's not pin you in any kind of a corner or anything. All that's doing is saying, okay, Rosman Scalora, go design it. That's it. And so we would do the design and get the documents completely ready. And this has happened on hundreds of other projects in the past. If you get to that point, you're like, we don't want to do it, then nothing happens. It just gets shelved. But we would have the drawings and the specifications and the bid documents ready to go. And when we get done designing, we'll do an opinion of our probable costs, of what we think the project's going to cost, because that's going to be important to the county, right? They're going to know what that number is going to be. Because if we start designing and we get into something that's more expensive than we anticipated, you know, that could change people's opinion. But basically, we'll design the whole thing, get everything ready, and have a probable cost. And at that point, the decision will be yours whether the two entities all right, let's take this out for bid.
So at that time, once all of that's done, then we would need to set a contract between the city and the county and all of that stuff. So tonight, all you're really looking for is a consensus that we're all willing to start.
Just trying to be transparent.
Yeah,
We-
absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate your,
Right?
And the bathroom's adequate.
the
Bathroom is adequate.
yeah, everything else, and we'll use that meeting room. We will occupy for like our meetings, and then if there is something that like the treasurer needs to pull somebody in to have just a one-on-one, You know, no different than they do down here. A lot of times our commissioner room gets used for more than just an issue.
Yeah.
They're getting special
So
presentations.
you have 2 rooms down there at least, not just the one, so.
There's no bathrooms other than the
Yeah,
two main
just those 2
bathrooms.
bathrooms.
It's gonna work.
They say we do have the Parks Department in there. His office is in there though right now too. Is that gonna bother you guys if he's in there or?
I don't think that, we're looking at the overall big space. You know, they might use your kitchen as a break room.
Yeah.
And then use the restrooms, and then the 2 office spaces. You know, might be contained, but not all the time.
Okay.
And the courtroom's not probably gonna come down at all, we're probably gonna go down, use another building. For that, because that's a different act. So,
So we talked about bringing in the air pretty big through the wall. And you described something that kind of had along the seam of the wall and the roof. Is that really what we envisioned? And then just the ducts and blowing it into the open space?
and that's Thursdays.
Is that work?
But you know, your lights will hang, your lights that you got now hang lower than that too.
Usually,
Yeah. So I don't see that
Yeah.
being a restriction of basketball or pickleball or. Volleyball.
Pickleball.
and new ceiling fans?
And you know, Cunningham, when the ball does hit it, it's still playable and that, you know, they,
Right off.
so. It's, I don't know, you guys tell me, we're, you know, Garrett's here. We're here, I'm here, we're trying to keep something moving forward so we don't stall out, you know. You know, our steam heat shut down us again the other day, and that was another $4,000 to get that back up and going. One of the air conditioning units that these are some temporary, what are they called? Mini split, quit, and 4,000 to replace that. We are just plucking away and, you know, electrical boxes that got breakers in them that they claim don't flip, they just weld and then they start wiring on fire. I mean, we looked at just having a local heating and air. We had 4 of them right here in town, and they all walked in and they all walked out, said, you better estimate draw this, I don't think that electric was gonna take over. So we came to going to Great Bend, and these guys were recommended very highly, and they've been down a few times and visited with us. You call him, he picks the phone up every time, I will say that. I appreciate.
Well, I never conceived of keeping the park department there, so that's good to know. So the storage up above is really some chamber stuff. Are you featuring using the storage? It was part of the drawing, that's why I wondered. And so we have some chamber items.
Garrett, was anything gonna be up in that storage or that far west end you're talking?
Not what we've previously discussed, Jack. Just bringing the ducts through that wall. That's it.
Yeah.
And the garage is used by the rec department, just, it's theirs.
We're not gonna be using it at all. We're, you know, like Garrett said, we got 35 people that are. Gonna move down there and be uncomfortable probably, but I keep telling them, just keep in mind, it's for 1 year. They're saying that, you know, if we can have our ducks in a row, we move out one day. And that year starts then. Great Bend said they did it, and theirs was a lot bigger building, a lot more square feet. Great Bend, Barton.
Yeah, you're like I can't remember the exact number, Jack, but maybe you're 2/3 the size of them. I mean, your courthouse is different. You know, there's some different challenges and stuff. It's a gorgeous building. I mean, it's very pretty building, but there's some different challenges than Great Bend had. But yes, your building square footage wise is a little smaller. But it's the kind of things you guys are wanting to do at the courthouse. You have to move out, right? You can't be there. It's gonna look like a war zone as I take things apart. I mean, it's heavy. What's that?
I said, we got bathrooms in the courthouse, you were through it, that stuff's just been taken out. And then we got rubber sleeves on pipes on the outside of the wall where something's from leaking. Got it, starts leave on them and clamp it on both sides. You know, so we're gonna get in deeper than we want to too, but if we're gonna do this, let's do it like we're doing it for the next 50 years, not like we're trying to put a Band-Aid on it. So,
Is there still an obvious wiring in there anywhere?
yep.
So commissioners, do we have a yes consensus to move forward with this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. All right, we are all in consensus.
You hear that, Garrett?
Get her
Yep.
done.
That's great.
Thank you, Garrett.
Thank you.
And we'll do what we can to, ease the city's mind too. Like we can share drawings as we progress with the design and we can review that with you so that you know exactly what you're getting into. Once the design's done, we can do a page turn and walk through the design and talk about what it is and what it means.
You know, I talk to these guys, I call them, if one of you's wanting to hand the number, beat that person that besides you, Tom here, you're welcome to that. Everything we're doing, we're trying to do, for the better of Kingman County.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
All right, on to 8C, Wilson and Company on-call service agreement.
Mayor and Commission, this is a agreement the city's had in place for several years now, and the current agreement was approved about a year ago. And this on-call service is really the type of services that fall under this are just kind of one-off projects. And I think I put in the cover memo, one of the examples was having Charles come down and talk to us about the mill rates. So those types of services that they provide. The current agreement had a maximum amount of 19,500, and according to Wilson, we're right about 16,000 on that one. And so the idea was that we would just run that contract out, and then once that is gone, then it'll tie into this new agreement that's before you tonight, the 19,500. And again, it's services that we would require. It's not, they're not just doing things without our approval. So again, staff would recommend approval of this agreement with Wilson and Company for on-call professional services.
So we need a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
I would make a motion to approve the on-site call service with Wilson. I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the on-call service agreement with Wilson and Company. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, street ceiling bid review.
I'll introduce this and Perry's gonna take it from here, but you'll recall at our last commission meeting, the commission approved us to go out for a request for proposals for our street ceiling program this year, and Perry handled all that, so I'm gonna let her kind of walk you through the proposals that we've got and the differences.
Okay, I did the RFPs out to 3 companies, Seal Master, Circle C, and South Central, but I learned that Circle C was bought out by Vance Brothers. So Vance Brothers is actually the group that did our streets last year. And it's the same staff, same equipment, so all of that is the same. Interesting enough, South Central only bid the slurry seal. Vance Brothers only bid the chip seal. They were asked to bid both, but they did not. Prices have went up. Last year's bids were $2.70 a square yard. This year it's up to $3.40 square yard. So quite an increase and not enough budgeted this year for this. So, and we're not gonna look at the alternate because the increase in price is just went over budget. So on the Vance Brothers, their bid was $88,240.20, and that's just for the chip seal. And then South Central was 91,614.09. The gentleman from South Central did recommend to crack seal the cracks in the pavement before we seal it. Which we are gonna try to do ourselves this year. We have plenty of material. We're gonna get our pop going again. That was on our priority list for 2026, so we're gonna try to do that. But he added in that price just if we didn't get to it this year. Which is quite expensive. And I also reached out to Caleb with Vance Brothers and gave him the same crack sealing ability to put that in the bid, but he said it's too late in the year, they're getting those, so that was not even an option for them, so.
Did you say there were 3?
Yeah, Seal Master never got.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
That's that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I reached out to a 4th and they never got back as well, but I don't remember the name of that one, so. I think we're a smaller town, so maybe. People kind of bypass it a little bit.
Was budgeted, how much are we over budget?
80
was budgeted.
Yeah.
80 was budgeted. And I hate to take the alternate can stay off, but I hate to take either of these locations off this year. Because the last time Riverside was done was 2019 and Walnut Hill was done in 2020, so that puts the park at 7 years and the cemetery at 6 years. And normally it's 4 to 5 years in between, so.
I will say, I have an opinion to not do the chip sealing, because I feel like that's what was done on my road last year, and I feel like I live on a dirt road. And specifically down at Riverside Park, kids run around all the time with no shoes on. It hurts. It's basically living on a gravel road. So I would vote to not go with the chip sealing, in my opinion.
Okay, and
I would just say, and because there is little research on it, Karen and I talked about it, and the chip seal. There's opinions on everything. The chip seal is a longer lasting surface. The slurry seal is not as long lasting, but it looks better. So, the opinion I've got, I actually talked to Dan, the guy, our new city manager coming in, just because obviously they deal with that kids. And his comment was the same thing, that the chip seal is a longer lasting seal than the slurry seal and handles heavier traffic more. Now, whether the park, the cemetery obviously wouldn't be heavy traffic, park, probably not as much either, so it's kind of one or the other, so, but the slurry seal, people like that because it looks better, I guess, but, just, I think it's important to know that it isn't as long lasting as the chip seal. Would you agree with that?
yeah,
Well, and when they did the park last time, that was just a slurry seal.
is that 2019?
I think of,
Slurry seal?
okay.
But, either way, I'm just telling you, that's kind of the information there, so.
And this is to do the entire park, is that correct?
Yes, the roads in the park. Mhm.
Just on the island piece, not for, just on the east. Cause we don't have.
East of
anything.
Maine.
East of-
Okay,
Yes, yeah, Riverside, yeah. So both options put us over budget, chip seal not so much.
Yeah.
So.
And that being the case and it lasts longer, I would move for approval of the chip seal. Thanks, Joe.
And that was, which bid was the chip seal?
Vance Brothers.
Easily. That's. So. Chip seal, yeah.
Are you moving for approval,
Chip seal for Vance.
and the alternate, or just the 88?
Yeah, we're not gonna do the alternate due to the price this year, so we'll look at maybe increasing that.
This one's only eight.
It's whatever, it's never still over the place. Oh, both of them will be able to budget, yeah, we know what. So are we talking about cutting back or doing?
Since it's the Riverside and Walnut Hill, we're not gonna be able to cut it back. And to change it would be a complete RFP change and all that as well, so.
We,
We just have to figure out where that extra is gonna come from. Or not do it at all.
So basically 8,000 or two.
yeah, we would just. It'd be additional fund balance that we would use or other budgets. Which fund is this coming out of? This is out of the general fund, is it out of the?
It's out of street
special
department.
the street department, yeah, so. Do we have a reserve in the street department fund or?
No.
No. We have a capital improvement reserve, and I don't know where that developed, but yeah.
I know it's gonna cost a lot more if we don't keep up with this program. And John, did you make a motion to approve the chips and price?
We have a motion and a second to approve the chip seal from Vance Brothers for $88,240.20. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Aye. Motion passes 4-1.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, on to consideration of extended CMB liquor sales. House Bill 2481.
I'm gonna let our city clerk handle this one.
So this is kind of an odd one. So I was contacted by Dollar General, who brought this to my attention that there was a House bill that was passed and it extends the sale of liquor and CMB to 23 hours a day, every day of the week, during the FIFA World Cup tournament, which runs June 11th to July 19th. Dollar General said that, you know, it would give them a couple more hours on Sunday, because currently those sales drop off earlier on Sundays. I've also been contacted by Dax. They've also requested that the moving forward with this. Essentially, I mean, it's not really, in my opinion, gonna harm anything. It's not any extra work other than the attorney drafting a resolution or something. The state says that the cities have to opt in by either resolution or ordinance. My recommendation on that would be a resolution, since it's a temporary time frame, unless the attorney
It hadn't been ordinance, counties do resolutions.
Okay, so apparently it has to be an ordinance. So, that's kind of what we're looking at. Obviously, I think the most affected business would probably be Casey's, because they're open 24 hours, so. And it does cover the July 4th holiday as well, so something to think about, but. It might mean a little extra dollars in sales tax. I don't know.
So you need a motion to approve?
I just need, what I would recommend is a consensus for the attorney to draft an ordinance, which would come to the next meeting.
Okay. I'm in agreement.
In agreement,
Everybody,
3, 4. You're not. We have a 4-1 consensus.
okay.
All right. Looks like we're on to city manager's report.
Couple quick things, let's see. I sent out, and I apologize for sending that out late, but I did send out that email just yesterday or the day about, from Charles. Kind of the highlights of the mill race discussion, just want to make sure y'all got that, and it kind of lays out, what we would need to be doing on erosion control and how we go about all that. So Carrie and I have talked about that, and so that's something that can occur over time when the city has time to be able to do some of that stuff, but there still is, permitting or process you gotta go through on that, so. So I just wanted everybody to make sure you've got that email. He did a pretty good job of summarizing what he talked about and what processes we would have to go through if there were any diversion of the river. And that looked like quite a bit as you're aware of, so I just wanted to make that, so. Community cleanup in Saturday, I don't know if you guys have been down there, I was down there today. Very well organized, carrying their crew, they're doing a good job with that. I think they said 2 or 3 loads of metal we collected.
Over 4, well, that was, they
Yeah,
took that in on Tuesday, that was 4,000 pounds.
yeah,
And we have another mountain of metal to take in.
so rather than that going to the landfill or whatever, we're taking it, selling it, and and that maybe that'll make up the difference on the chip seal, I don't know. We'll use that. But it looked well organized, and it's over Saturday, so hopefully everybody's appreciated that in the community, because I really think it's a good service for the community, so. And the last thing I have is just, this is my last meeting, and I appreciate the opportunity. It's been a pleasure to work with you guys, and I do appreciate the recognition, but it's been a great experience, and staff has been great to work with, and you all have been wonderful, and I don't think I've screwed anything up too bad yet, but I really enjoyed it, and people tell me, came in every week, and I tell them, it's funny, because I'll get home and, come Monday, I'm thinking, I'm kind of ready to get back to Kingman and get some work done, but God's country, that's right, but it has been my pleasure to work with you, and I appreciate the opportunity, and I really hope, Daniel works out well for you, and look forward to kind of introducing him. He and I have talked a little bit, and I'm planning maybe to be here a day or two with him, just to kind of download some of the stuff, and, but other than that, he won't need me, and, we've got other resources that he can rely on, so, but, I think that's all I had, unless you, have any questions. But again, I thank you for the, recognition tonight, and, appreciate that, so.
All right, commissioner comments, Commissioner Wong?
Appreciated the quarterly updates from our different departments, and I think that'll be helpful to a new administrator coming in as well, with just very helpful. Thank you, thank you.
Commissioner Arthur?
I don't believe so.
Nothing? Commissioner McFarland?
Yeah. There's 7 or 8 streetlights out on Main Street down in the main part of downtown. I know streetlights. It's been a while since I've been on that, and we replaced a whole bunch of them. We used to go out all the time. There's the ones downtown, are those fancy ones. And I know there's still several of them out at the end. So.
Yeah, the right man here to.
Get that one lit.
I'll write that down, and I'll visit with the, you can handle that tomorrow.
Get it over with the hand. But I know they're hard to keep up with, but it's,
Okay,
the ones on Main Street right down in the core area is kind of where everybody sees it. We get lots of comments on the downtown area, so. I didn't keep it up.
you're out late at night then, aren't you?
I am. Pal around at night.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
I just say, just a pleasure working with you, John. Wish you the best, and appreciate, are you retired now? Are you done?
Sure, I'm gonna still do searches, but I told my wife, and this will be my last interim gig, so, but you never know, right? So. Anyway, but I appreciate that, yeah, been fun.
Thank you.
All right, I do have a couple things, not really. The dirt in the park. I know there's been mounds of dirt there for 3 weeks or more. Do we plan on spreading that out in Riverside Park?
Which part?
Riverside? The dirt mounds that are at the very front park.
Sand.
Sand, dirt,
Okay.
yes.
I'll speak on that.
Okay,
So we had sand brought out last year, 2 loads to that front. The kids loved those
Playing with
mounds.
the file.
And then we spread them out. Then they didn't, so we got the new ones in and they could hardly get there to spread them out because the kids loved the mounds. So we thought, maybe they just want some mounds of sand to play on.
okay.
Because
That's what I-
they've even seen, that the mounds are full of kids and the playground equipment has nobody on it.
I think that's got one at flat now.
Do they now? Okay, that was just my
Yeah.
question.
But we have adequate sand and the swings and all.
Yeah, 4 loads, yeah, it's adequate, but.
And you can stay here for this next one too. I don't know if you've mentioned, the 3rd graders came a couple weeks ago. They were very concerned about the digger in that front park, that it
Okay.
was broken.
Mhm.
Like 5 kids were very concerned that it needs fixed.
And what was the date on that?
I don't even remember.
Oh, the 3rd graders?
Yeah, when the 3rd graders came,
That's last-
it was like the
last-
10th
was
or
last
something.
That's right.
Last Friday.
Last Friday.
So. So yeah, that was a big concern that they had.
Okay, yeah, if they would, let somebody know,
I should have
then we could take care of that.
Friday.
Yeah, so if they would let the city office know, then they could,
Yeah.
let us know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The only other thing I had, thank you, John, for accepting this interim position. It was definitely helpful through this transition period and even helping us to get our new city manager that's coming in next week. I'm very excited for him to start. I think he'll be a good addition. And that's all I really have.
I got one more thing, and this is, you talked about the 3rd graders. When I was mayor, I was here and Greg was talking to him, he said, yes, and said, does anybody know what the city does? Look at all the gas. And they turn your lights off.
Lights on.
Yeah. You're gonna turn lights off. You know? So anyway, that's all I had, that reminded me of that. Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
So,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.